So, Alexia, you've written the book 90 Days, 90 Ways. I understand the basic concept of onboarding with longevity, but why is it so different for these young professionals, Gen Y, millennials, whatever you want to call them?
Great question. So I think ideally onboarding should be a 90-day process irrespective of generation. The focus on young professionals is because by 2014, young professionals will make up 50% of the workplace, according to Tony Bingham, our president of ASTD. And yet so many of the ways that we bring on employees is designed around the baby boomer employee, which is just not the reality. In terms of the focus of 90 days, we know from positive psychology and from neuroscience that it takes approximately 90 days to create a new habit, whether that habit is being an effective communicator or developing any other skill that's necessary for workplace success. And what we're really trying to do in onboarding is not teach content, but rather teach the mindset and the skills and the behaviors, which are all habits, to be effective and well, which is why it takes that amount of time for that young professional or any employee to really make that habit.
Okay, cool. So that's 90 days, but we have to start somewhere. What happens on day one?
So ideally, day one actually begins before day one in terms of enabling that new employee, that young professional, to have some contact with his or her future supervisor. Ideally, online through some kind of virtual way, gets a lot of the compliance issues out of the way, so that when they show up on day one, the focus really can be on giving them some kind of engaging first day task. Because the typical Gen Y or young professional makes a decision by the end of that first day whether or not to stay with a company long term, it's really important for companies not only to give that engaging first day task, but also to make sure from the moment they walk in the door that they feel welcome and a part of that culture.
Okay.
I'm passionate.
Yeah, I hear it. It's fantastic. One of the things you talk about in your book is the importance of a communication style, of interpersonal communication, of the way that Gen Y and non-Gen Y interact. Tell me something about that.
Sure. Gen Y, or young professionals, have had fewer opportunities to develop their face-to-face communication skills than any previous generation. And yet we know across cultures, across continents, across fields, that the number one thing employers look for are effective communication skills. And not just communication skills, but those relationship-building, interpersonal communication skills. So if we want our next generation of young professionals and leaders to be effective in that regard, we really want to spend the time and the resources to develop formal and informal ways for them to be able to develop that interpersonal communication, the ability to negotiate, the ability to give and receive feedback, all of those things that we expect employees to know how to do, but yet unfortunately they never have had opportunities to develop.
And these are the kind of habits that we're developing.
And that is really going to be the foundation for our next generation of workplace professionals.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Alexia. Good luck with the session tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.